Pet.
Hi. I know it's your passion to keep values alive for companies, but why?
Well, I think I'm in the culture space now since maybe 20 years, and I helped a lot of companies defining their cultures, and then it's a little bit sad to hear that there are at the same time so many companies where cultures have been defined, just like you need a strategy, you need a mission, you need a vision, and obviously you need to have a set of values. And At the same time, you see so many people leaving companies since they say the culture is not right. And if you then look at the values, you're like, hey, but I mean, the values are pretty okay. So what do you mean the culture is not right? And that is very often that people say, yeah, that's true. So the values that we have on our website, they're pretty okay, but people are not living the culture. They're not living the value. So I would like to, going forward, spend more time in trying to help companies how you can actually live your culture, how you can actually live the values that I think are necessary to be strategically successful together.
That sounds very interesting. Could you give me an example on how you keep a specific value alive?
Okay, let's, for instance, take a value that many companies have, collaborative, right? Team spirit,
Yeah,
work together.
definitely.
So collaborate. And what I noticed is the best way to activate a specific value, and then afterwards, obviously, making sure that people live the value, keeping the value alive, is not by telling the people what you mean by a specific value, like our value is collaborative, and this is what we mean by collaborative. So in my experience, it is more effective to ask people, for instance, ask leaders how they think they can help their teams to become more collaborative. And the nice thing is that actually, if you ask that, then no answer is wrong. So there isn't a wrong answer. I once worked for a company, and we had several parts of the world where that company was working at, and also several leadership cultures in the different countries. So we worked on a global culture. We said it's important to be collaborative. And then we went into the countries and we asked people like, how can you as a leader help your team to become more collaborative, more together? And then there was one country where the answer of one of the leaders was, well, what I'm going to do from now on is, instead of talking 60 minutes to my team and then say, did you understand it at the end of the management team meeting or of the meeting? But I'm going to take 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of the meeting for people to ask questions. So this was a company in a country where they were actually still very hierarchical and very directive, and they were learning to be more engaging. And then within the same company, I was in another part of the world where I asked the same question, and then someone said, well, what we decided to start doing is something we call rotating manager. So on Alphabet, I think this was every quarter or every month, I actually forgot, but on Alphabet, it's always a different person who is the chairperson of the meeting. And by that, people are at the end, if we have all been a manager or the chairperson of a meeting for a specific period, at the end of that ride, we all have a better idea of what the team goals are. So everybody knows their personal goals. But if you're chairperson of the meeting, you start thinking like, okay, but what are we actually as a group? What are our goals at the group? What's happening in the group? So that was also an answer to make a team more collaborative. And I think it's important that it's important to not judge and say like, this is good and this is wrong. It's important that everybody is making a step on becoming more collaborative. So it's important that you give people the freedom to compare them with themselves and make a step compared to themselves instead of compared to others. So I think this is an example of how to live values.